We've got records broken, 100% records continued. Got winless things to talk about, and the return of the premier European competition, the champions. I'll play the intro.
Hello ladies and gents, and welcome back to the footballpodcast, episode 6 of season 4. My name is Fennan, and joined alongside me someone who is very excited for Champions League football tomorrow evening. We got Mayhem. How are you doing, my friend?
I'm doing good, mate. You know, the vocal performance there of someone whose balls hasn't dropped. You know, I can still get that high pitched tone down.
I was very impressed, I must say, very impressed indeed.
Me too. I'm in good spirits, high spirits. Obviously off the back of the weekend. So yeah, mate, all good.
Good to hear. Good to hear. Glad that you're in good spirits, you. Well, we haven't got Gondor this evening. Unfortunately, he has come under the weather this evening, so we haven't got any Gondor's terribles. None of that this evening. But yes, we've got the original deadly duo this evening. The fucking good old days. Me and you, Mayhem. The pioneers of the Football Big Podcast. But of course, I see you as the orchestrator, the architect, the Seth Rollins of the football booth. And you've got to carry me through this episode because it's going to be very bipolar. I'm going to be completely honest. It's not been a good week for Cardiff. It's not been a good month for Cardiff, if anything. But let's start things off with a positive note. The good times continue to roll for Brendan Rodgers and Celtic. The 100% record stays in place. 2-0 win over Hearts. And Arne Engels, Luke McCowan opening their accounts for Celtic in that victory against Hearts. But was a rather eventful spectacle against Hearts. When I mean eventful, it felt like the referee spent more time in front of the monitor than he was on the pitch. But please, enlighten us with your analysis, Mayhem.
Yeah, definitely an aspect of that. I don't think we were particularly good, to be honest. I don't know if it was maybe a bit of coming off the back of, you know, the international break and the disruption that had caused to the routine. I thought that we looked a wee bit off it compared to where we had been in the first 4 games, and you know, especially when we're thinking about, you know, how we played in the derby and the sort of incisive passing that we had. Whether that was bringing Arne Engels in and bedding him in, and he's going to take a wee bit of time to fully get up to speed with the system. But I thought he played really well and looks a hell of a prospect. And I know that Brendan has said that we're going to turn him into a goal-scoring midfielder, so maybe he's going to get the chance to really express himself in a way that maybe he didn't at Augsburg. But I thought he played well in a game where, yeah, I never felt in trouble at any point, unless, you know, we were leaving decisions down to the ref, and then you know, who knows what decision you were going to get. across Scotland this weekend, the refs have once again shown they're utterly incapable. The VAR is utterly incapable of making just bog standard decisions, and we'll get onto that. And I know that people listening will be like, but what are you talking about? You know, the decisions went for Celtic. Yes, that's fine.
Draw some more comments at least.
I'm not slagging VAR in this game, but there are certain things that need to be called out, mainly the St Mirren game, and how you think you can absolutely boot someone and VAR doesn't want to look at it. But we'll get there, Mr. Adam Rooney, you naughty boy. But it was against the Derek McInnes team, so maybe that's why they let him off.
How old is Adam Rooney now? Like 52?
It must have been his old age.
He's getting on a bit now. He is getting on a bit.
I mean, he absolutely tried to boot Vassell into the first row, and apparently you're allowed to do that in Scotland. It's physical up here, man. get your stock in, kick him in the hip.
Is that Isaac Vassell you're speaking of?
Not on first name basis with the guy, to be honest.
Well, I mean, if it is Isaac Vassell and you do put him up in the air, then he's probably going to be ruled out for the next 3 seasons.
But in terms of our game, without being cutting edge best, I thought we were all right, I guess is where we would leave it. Obviously, the first big chance, Kyogo gets slipped through. Nicholas Kuhn kind of breaks away and he gets slipped through and he's bearing down the goal. You think there's only one thing that's possibly going to happen here. He's bagging 2-in-2, puts it wide.
And he does everything right there. He opens his body up perfectly. Like you see the replay in slow motion, how he just opens his right side up, bends his side foot around the ball and puts it the other side of the post. And you were anticipating for that net to rattle, and it just wasn't the case.
100%. Craig Gordon, the ball slides through and you think the keeper might come for it, and then you realise it's Craig Gordon. And there's no way he's sprinting out to that.
I'm glad you picked up on that as well. I was very questionable, and then you said Craig Gordon, and it makes sense.
Because he may actually be 52. I mean, he was in his twilight years when he was with us.
52 in fucking dog years. It feels like he's been here longer than fucking since Nelson Mandela was in Borstal, for Christ's sake.
But yeah, so we kind of huffed and puffed in the first half, without really, but the Kyogo opportunity, whatever really looking like causing a major problem on Craig Gordon's goal. Obviously, at the other end, there's the penalty incident where Lawrence Shankland headers the ball back onto the upper arm of Liam Scales and hits him on the shirt line. The ref forgets the rule book and points to the spot. Thankfully, VAR says, "Do you know what the rules are, mate? Do you want to go have another look at that?" He goes over, looks at the screen, realises that we're not playing in 2001 and that's no longer a handball, and doesn't give the penalty. That's not controversial, right? The only people that say this is controversial, right, is either Hearts fans or the other side of Glasgow that are already so far behind, they're scraping the bottom of the barrel, shouting about decisions, and we're not even out of September. Now, don't worry if it's gone our way or not. Yous are getting absolutely gassed about decisions in September because you realise you're chasing Aberdeen.
Speaks volumes.
Don't worry about what we're doing, right? You're not going to see us until next year when everything starts even again. Don't worry about what we're doing, right? Worry about the Dons, who, fucking fair play, have started incredibly well. Worried about coming up against them because they'll be a far harder challenge than anyone else in this league. But obviously, look, we're going at half time. I think Brendan had told Nicholas Kuhn to try and get him behind a wee bit more and really stretch the defence back. Alistair Johnson, early in second half, Alistair Johnson plays the ball on the outside of the fullback. Nicholas Kuhn gets there, whips the cross in. Penrice arms away from his body, hits his hands. He then magically pulls his hands back into his chest and says, "I have my hands by my chest."
It's blatant, though. It's so blatant.
As if we don't have replays. Like, mate, we have a fucking replay. You can't lie, you ball bag. But the ref doesn't give that one. So, again, he's forgetting the rules. Outside, moved his arm to the ball, blocked the cross. Doesn't give that one. VAR says, "Have you forgot the rules? You may want to go look at that." Yeah. Goes across.
Wait, who was the referee, by the way?
I don't know. I didn't actually recognise him, to be honest.
Well, I mean, I only recognise it by his forehead. I've never seen a forehead have 5 kneecaps in it, but go on.
He looked like a regen of Willie Collum, to be honest.
He looks like an NFC 25 fucking virtual pro. That's what he looks like.
And there was a wee bit of discussion around the penalty. They give it to Arne Engels. Up he steps. We look stutter. Very confident. Rolls it into the corner. And as soon as we got the goal, that just calms the place down even more. I think we it's not like the crowd were getting on top of the players anyway.
Yeah,
But
well,
that
the
just
players were getting on top of Arne Engels. If you looked at there was replay footage that I saw on the Celtic website, and saw that Lawrence Shankland had a lot to say during that run up in the penalty, and again completely unfazed, slots it home, sends the keeper the wrong way, and it's 1-0 to the good.
I mean, welcome to Scottish football, Arne Engels. You've played, whatever it was, half hour, 20 minutes against the most hateful team in Scotland, but probably didn't get the full. They didn't really understand it. He will come the New Year's derby, but the second most hateful turn up after the international break, and to make that worse, you've got Lawrence Shankland, the Rangers fan, that would have been hurting from the derby a couple of weeks before as well in your ear.
Imagine getting shouted at by a nonce. It's weird.
But yeah, the game goes on, and again, I think our pace slowed a wee bit in the second half. I don't think we was as sharp as even we were in the first half, and certainly, like I keep saying, compared to other performances this season, we looked a little bit off it. But we've got such strength and depth. Bar Lewis Palmer coming on. Adam Ida's coming off the bench. We've got Paulo Bernardo, who was fantastic in the derby. Luke McCowan coming on. I was a wee bit surprised that we haven't seen Austin Trusty yet. I mean, Liam Scales, I think, had another. There's always something with Liam Scales, isn't there? This time, God love him, he's had another decent game, but all the controversies around the fact that the balls hit him on the fucking top of the arm, so he'll be discussed again. But I thought he had another decent game. I was a wee bit surprised we didn't see Alex Vey at left back, or Vai, or Val, whatever the fuck his name is. I might be able to pronounce it if I heard someone
Alex Valley-Boyle, how about that, eh?
So I was really surprised we didn't see him come on and try and get some minutes into his legs. But yeah, I think we were comfortable. We didn't really look like conceding, even when they did get close. Casper looked so assured, and obviously that breaks the record now. 5 league games, the first half league games, 5 clean sheets. Hasn't been done or it matches a record, hasn't been done for over 100 years.
Wow, that far back does it go?
Yeah, so
Wow,
obviously
okay.
massive congratulations to the whole team, but to the defence, and obviously Casper for for maintaining that concentration and the rare time that he is needed. He's always on hand, and then to absolutely cap it off, James Forrest cuts the ball back to the edge of the box, and Luke McCowan hits a shot, and Craig Gordon forgets he's the Hearts keeper, and the ball's coming kind of straight at him, and he flaps it, and it ends in
but Papa Mache arms,
post.
remember that.
But magical moment for him. I mean, like we said before, lifelong Celtic fans scoring at home must feel absolutely amazing.
Oh, Luke McCowan, you'd love my life for Luke McCowan. I'll let you shag my wife for Luke McCowan. I want bleach blonde hair too. That's my song. I came up with it about 25 minutes ago.
Yeah. You claiming it?
Yeah, fuck it. Why not? You don't get to claim too much on a small platform, so yeah, fuck it. I'm having it.
I mean,
I don't imagine. I think the Green Brigade are a lot more imaginative and creative than I am.
I would imagine that they would pronounce his name without the G in it as well, since it's not there. But
all right, we'll cut that bit out then.
But Adam Eder obviously scores, but Lewis Palmer being lazy and not getting back on side, in the first initial phase, means that Eder doesn't get off the mark, which would have been a nice way to finish the day. But overall, 5 out of 10. We are sitting on the eve of obviously the Slovan Bratislava game, match day 1 of the UEFA Champions League,
it sets you up nicely as well. I think this is probably the best place that Celtic can be put in going into a huge game on the eve of the Champions League, in the new structure, a fresh new campaign with, again, a few more individuals who can really, stick, play their part.
Yeah, and look, we don't want to pile the pressure on, but unfortunately, I mean, it's match day one, but this feels super important.
It
You
absolutely
know,
does. I think it really, the first game always tends to, I wouldn't say dictate, but it really projects yourself in terms of where and how you finish the campaign.
yeah, and there's going to be ties that we know are really really difficult. Looking at the likes of Atalanta and Borussia Dortmund, that they are going to be a step up, and the Bratislava game. But I think we have to take full advantage of and really capitalise being at home, back under the lights. And obviously we got that monkey off our back winning against Feyenoord, and there's no stupid fucking stats being pulled out by TNT fucking Sports about they've not won in this amount of fuck up.
Well,
Right?
fuck
That's
TNT. Look. Honestly, you're best known for boxing. That's the only time we watch TNT. So shut the fuck up. But yeah, no,
so,
I feel this is the perfect game for Celtic to open up with, and I feel it will really set a standard going forward. And of course, like on paper, Slovan Bratislava are gonna be probably your easiest opposition. By all means, momentum is key going forward. And again, if you can maintain the levels of performance, the clean sheets, the 3 points, week in, week out, everything counts.
Yeah, and I think I can't see us making any changes. I think that we will stick with the same back line, that's kept so many clean sheets at the start of the season. We'll stay with that midfield that we started the game against Hearts with. It'll stay with Rio Tati, Arne, Engels and McGregor, and we'll stay with the front three and Maeda, Kyogo and Kuhn. And I think, that team, firing has enough to win the game, and we've got a lot of reliability and firepower to come off the bench as well. Like I said, Paulo Bernardo played in basically all the Champions League games last year and played obviously very well and put in some decent performances, probably most notably against Atletico at home where we drew 2-2. And it gives the chance of people like Adamida and stuff like that to come and experience this. And I think he'll 100% think he'll go with Kyogo tomorrow night. But what Adamida does give us is when we're maybe away in Europe and we're battling a wee bit more, I think we'll probably see Adamida start quite a few games in Europe. When we identified, against Kilmarnock when we were struggling, and he gave us that more physical presence towards the end of last season, that I think we'll really utilise him for stuff like that. So wouldn't be surprised if he starts maybe like away at Dortmund or something like that. But yeah, tomorrow night's massive. And hopefully we get a positive result. I'm confident we will. I think we're going in a really good spot. Obviously domestically things are going really well. So full tilt ahead, get across the line tomorrow, get up and running with 3 points. And as we sit here now, it looks like Aston Villa are going to do that against Young Boys, which is two teams that we're going to play. So that's how quickly it rolls on.
It feels weird reading it on paper that Aston Villa are back in the Champions League. Like, surely the Villa fans are going to be looking at it and go, "Oh, it's like the fucking good old days, isn't it?" It's really bizarre.
I imagine. I think they were saying it was I was watching a wee bit of the game earlier, and they were saying it's the first goal in the competition since 1983. I think.
Wow.
Was the last time that they scored. But the league takes a backward step this week. Obviously, like I said, tomorrow night Champions League, and then obviously we pick up in the League Cup against Falkirk on the weekend. So we take a wee breather from that, and hope. I imagine, like I said, we'll be at full strength, and then for the Falkirk game, we may see, maybe Austin Trusty come in, and
you could afford to use those rotation options as well, and it almost feels like you've got some reliant options off the bench as well, like you said, like Paulo Bernardo, Adamida, Austin Trusty, a few to name off the back. Like, it feels like Celtic feel a little bit more reliant on their bench as well, where they can afford to make those changes when it comes to the Falkirk game. Of course, when they go into the Bratislava game, they will go full force and they'll play the big players that are needed to play their part. But at the same time, it's really kind of refreshing to see that you've got these individuals off the bench who can come on and still play a big part in Celtic's campaign.
100%. Brendan Rodgers, since he come back, has been talking about quality.
Yeah.
He's been talking about wanting quality in and adding quality to the squad. And, we were kind of wondering what the fuck he was talking about when, the summer transfer window ended last year. We're looking around going, Kwon. We're talking about quality and we brought in fucking Kwon.
Yeah. I don't think he was backed as heavily as he is now.
People are looking saying, we've let Jota go and we've brought in Lewis Palmer. This guy's just a fucking South American Mikey Johnson. Like, what the fuck is going on? And I think he's the next guy, But we finally got rid of MJ and we've got rid of a lot of deadwood. Like Brendan Rodgers, we run through that list before. 17 players out, a load of people, some people that you thought, I think they could have maybe stayed and done a job and give us a wee bit of cover. People like I quite liked O. I mean, I know he wasn't the biggest goal scorer in that, but physical presence and obviously he probably didn't want to be a third striker, so it was probably pretty mutual. But you look at likes of a Watter. I thought, whenever he come on, he did a job. And there was obviously some people that Brendan didn't fancy. I mean, I don't think Lager Bielka was a terrible player for us, but obviously Brendan doesn't fancy him, and that's why he's gone out the door. I mean, albeit on loan. But he was cleaning house. And like Mikey Johnson, I mean, that should almost be celebrated like a trophy.
Well, I was going to say, like we've been doing this podcast now. This is our 4th season, and his name has come up in nearly every episode since day one. And so I think that in itself is refreshing for you to say that he's off the books finally. Iwata, again, was one of those players who came off the bench, played his part as best as he could. O, who came off the bench, played the best part as he could, and you managed to recoup a good fee for him at the same time. Lager Bielka, he was one that I felt was a bit of a project when he came in. He was still very young, came from an obscure league in the Allsvenskan. I will say that. Don't care if I live in Stockholm, you're an obscure league. Came in to a big club at Celtic, and it was going to be very hard to really shift the likes of Carter Vickers and, well, ultimately, Liam Scales.
Yeah, but maybe there's a future there for him. I mean, I don't think we can really write anyone off because Liam Scales has proven every single person wrong in that stadium, and the fans around the world probably bar his dad.
Mate, honestly, until you said that, I was going to say, what I've seen this season, I think he has really sort of laid a statement down to say, this is my peak. I've solidified this place in a Celtic side who are going into Champions League, that are competing domestically as they do every season, and I'm not going to get shifted by all means, by Narovsky, by Lager Bielka, by anyone.
This is my jersey, come and take it. And obviously he knows
and that's a good attitude to have. That's the kind of player that every fucking fan dreams of having at each club.
And he knows that we wouldn't have gone and spent the money that we spent on Austin Trusty if we didn't believe that he was going to improve the squad. And that's the key word here. We've looked at what we've had and we've gone to try and get someone that will improve the squad. So Brendan Rodgers must believe that Austin Trusty, in terms of raw ability, is a better centre-half.
Yeah.
But you can't drop Scales. Now, there will be a game that you can drop Scales. But he will have those games. That is Liam Scales. But he is... Look, I've absolutely no problem with him being... I'm completely fine with Liam being a squad player and coming in for games like Ross County and Motherwell and places like that. But when we go to the Easter Roads, and I think we're all hoping that Austin comes in and lifts us up. Like I said, I think Liam will be in for the Bratislava game, which he should be. And Austin Trusty will come in for the Falkirk game.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking, yeah.
Brendan will probably give him about 60 minutes and try and build him in, I would imagine, into the team, getting ready for the Dortmund game, because that's why we brought Austin Trusty to go up a level, and that's going up a level. But no complaints. Scales again, playing at his absolute maximum, and his shiny face is scanned into the new FIFA now. Like that's what hard work gets.
He's got his bright ginger hair and everything. It's brilliant. I didn't realise how much his hairline was receding, but it looks beautiful. I know.
And you've got all the players' lovely faces scanned in. Greg Taylor, lovely sexy man in the. Have you seen in the documentary as well? Have you seen that clip going around?
Which one?
They're like doing the karaoke on the coach, and Greg Taylor goes, 3 in a row, sorry.
No, I haven't seen. Oh, I feel like I'm missing out now. Oh man, I need to see that. I absolutely do.
Yeah, the great shit house. Obviously, famously, first sort of done by Aidan McGeady when he was taking the piss out of Rangers when we won 3 in a row.
Honestly, if there's any I mean, I guess it's more like nostalgic content from Celtic. All I've been listening to is what's his name? Is it Simon Ferry, who was on the books at Celtic once upon a time, talking about the stories of Thomas Gravison, and they're quite amusing to listen to. But again, we're going way too far back, and this is from an individual who obviously didn't cut the grade at Celtic.
We've just announced that Henrik Larsson has wrote a book of his 7 years at Celtic, the Magnificent Seven it's called, so that'll sell out in double quick time. I hope he records his own audio book. I want to hear his dorsal tones speaking to me through Audible, telling me about his time.
That would be the best evening wank ever, 100%. Right. Who needs RedTube when you got Henrik Larsson's first audiobook out? Oh, lovely.
On that bombshell.
It was not a bombshell, okay?
I think I've said it enough. I've said it a few times, but it's time now to shoot south.
No, we don't.
Divert right.
No, we don't.
And land. Well, we weren't playing in the capital, obviously. This week we were
just a little bit down south, weren't we?
Yeah, in around Nottingham, wherever the fuck Derby is.
Derbyshire, yeah.
But yeah, obviously you'll give us a little bit more in depth. But I had heard post match that there was that really worrisome rumor about Erol Bulut's job potentially being on the line off the back of what was a disappointing day. I mean, culminating with an absolutely horrific miss. But give us the breakdown of the match, because obviously I've only seen a very small portion of the highlights.
Well, just to add to that Erol Bulut speculation about him getting the boot, there was also some video footage of I don't know if this was a Derby fan or a Cardiff fan enjoying a night out in Derby, and there was a certain individual who was surrounded by 4 policemen. That individual was Ollie Tanner. I don't know where to start, man. I remember saying before international break that changes had to be made in terms of individuals. Bulut made those changes, and it felt like nothing worked. Nothing changed at all. That was probably one of the poorest performances I've ever seen. Graveyard football, I call it. Complete graveyard football. I don't know. I've not seen a Cardiff side play as bad as they did against Derby since Paul Trollope was in charge. To be so timid going forward and yet be so naive defending does ring alarm bells. And do the board have every right to call Bulut out? Absolutely. Do I want Bulut to get things right? Absolutely. This guy got a 2-year contract for a reason. This guy took us to mid-table, which I thought at the start of the season he overachieved. He brought in good quality in the likes of Callum Chambers, Chris Willock, Jesper Darlin, and Anwar El Ghazi. I know he missed football for a whole year, but I thought we had a good transfer window. And he made those changes. He dropped Ethan Horvath for Jack Annick. And I don't think he was at fault for anything. I felt he deserved to start. He dropped Aaron Ramsey, courtesy of injury, go figure, for Ruben Colwill, who I thought was a standout player for us when he's made those handful sub appearances. And I really think this is his season now to really light up as an individual and basically as a player in the Championship. I think he possesses a lot of talent. But it just felt like nothing clicked in that Derby game. And I can't really pinpoint what it was. I don't know if it's the players, I don't know if it's the system, or I don't know if it's both. But something doesn't seem right. I don't know if it's the case of the dressing room, because right now I see players who I absolutely adored last season who are an absolute shadow of themselves this season. And when I talk about that, I talk about Perry and G. Brought off at half time. And it's quite alarming to see scenes like that. Perry and G, who I really think is an individual who could captain this side. And the fact that he's being brought off at half time speaks volumes. Like I said, I don't know what's going on within the incomings of the club. I don't know what's going on inside the club. But something doesn't sit right with me. I don't know if it's Erol Bulut. I don't know if it's the dressing room. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if it's something to do with the board, because they're fucking part-timers and our fucking owner who doesn't give a shit. But there's a disconnect there. I feel that so strongly. Derby were deserved winners on Saturday, and I hate to say that because I really felt that was the game which was the turning point for us. And I know we missed key players through injury in the likes of Callum Robinson, Jesper Darlin, Aaron Ramsey. We missed big players in that game. But I still feel that we've got a squad that possesses enough quality to beat the likes of Derby. Seeing them as a newly promoted side, and I know they had a fantastic campaign in League One, this is a game we should go and take at least a point from. And they easily could have won that game by more than one goal. Because we restricted ourselves to having more shots on goal than what we did. I don't understand what has happened in this system where we do not register enough shots on goal. Because we don't. We get into that final third, we shit the bed. We go backwards. We lose possession. We take too many touches on the ball. It's like, I watch it in the build-up every single time where the ball is played out from the back, whether it's Gutas, whether it's O'Dowda, whether it's NG, whether it's Chambers, Siopis, especially Siopis, where they got to make that pass after taking, at the very most, 2 touches. They're taking about 5 touches, putting themselves in danger. And teams identify us as a team that plays out the back, and they press us instantly. And when we take more than 2 touches, we're putting ourselves under pressure with the ball. And that's exactly what happened against Derby. They took advantage of that. They play the ball down the flank. They get a ball in. We've got 3 players around a striker, and yet he's the first one to the ball. He's the first one on the end of it to poke home. And this, I don't get what's going wrong. And I do feel that Erol Bulut's got to take responsibility with the system. And I want him to succeed so much at the club. I really want him to succeed. He earned that 2-year contract in June. And if you're looking to replace a manager who is on a 2-year contract, that's a big payout for the club like Cardiff City. It's a huge payout. And you know what else it does? It puts us back in that cycle that we've been in multiple times, where we get rid of a manager in October time, We bring in a manager until around the winter time. They get let go. So, I mean, if I'm being extremely hypothetical and irrational, Bulut will get the sack after the Leeds game if we don't win. Darren Purse gets pushed up to the main team. The results continue to be mediocre. He gets the boot in December, January, and then we bring in someone for the final 6 months. And whether they manage to save us from relegation, I don't know. But that's the cycle I see us going in right now. And that's a cycle we've got to avoid. Because we got Erol Bulut signed down to a 2-year deal. And if there's anything that Tan worries about, it's finances. So by all means, like, the league position isn't great for us right now. And there's only so many times I can come on this podcast and say it's early days. We're 5 games in. We've got 1 point. We're bottom of the table with a -10 goal difference. Do you know how fucking shit that is? Not a good start for us. 100% not a good start for us. And it really puts us in the deep end for the first couple of months leading up to Christmas. If we're in this similar position by Christmas, we're in big trouble. And it's a lot to save this club from that point. And we go on to Leeds next weekend. And this is a big game. And the reason why it's a big game, because both clubs are paying a tribute to the late Sol Bamba, who lost his life at the age of 39 last week. This is a man who represented our club as a player, as a captain, a leader of men to be defined as. This is a man who took on life with a smile on his face, as a football player, as a loving husband, as a father. This man did everything possible with a smile on his face. He left personal problems at home. He didn't let anyone get any hint of that. All I asked these players and all I asked for these coaching staff to do is play for Sol. Because this man loved football, who loved life. And I tell you what, football loved him. Play for Sol.
Yeah, obviously we've seen the outpourings and at multiple grounds. Obviously this weekend the commemorations and the minutes of applause and the appreciation that was shown, and obviously condolences to all these friends and family and loved ones. Looking at Leeds as well, that they're a team as well that are they're in a bit of a sticky patches. I think Daniel Farker will be a little bit concerned as well about his job prospects, because they certainly haven't started how they wanted to. They missed a lot of really, really good opportunities against Burnley, and obviously ended up losing the game on the weekend. So it's not the all power and all conquering Leeds. I don't think they're going to come into the game high on confidence. Mateo Josephs misses a one-on-one horrifically. Willie Nonto misses from about 6 yards out. So it's 2 teams that are going to be wildly out of form. They're going to see it as a great opportunity to come and get back to winning ways. But it isn't quite the Goliath that Leeds United can seem to be at times. They'll bring a fantastic support, as they always do, and there'll be a lot of appreciation, like you said, for Sol Bamba, and both sides will honour that, and hopefully, like you said, Cardiff put in a performance worthy of his memory. But I don't think it's as big a. Probably feels like a big task at the moment because, like you said, you're without a win at the moment. But Leeds are going to be going there knowing. I think Daniel Farker is going to be going there knowing that if he doesn't pick up 3 points, then Leeds United is an attractive proposition for a lot of people in the Championship.
100%. Yeah, absolutely.
So there would be plenty of people that would would snap that job up. So, yeah, look, I don't. Erol Bulut, like I said, he's earned his right to be there. I think he's earned a wee bit of leeway. That's quickly running out because you don't get much leeway in football. So hopefully he can start to turn it around. There is this, like you said, you don't want to get back in this perpetuous cycle of recycling managers and having players that weren't signed by the manager. There's a certain club in Glasgow that has become very good at that and won very little doing it. So we know the story here. We've seen it again at Cardiff, where even if you do get that, you bring someone in and they get a wee bit of a bounce, that often fizzles out.
Yes, it does.
Need a bit of consistency. I think, yeah, the Derby performance, like I said, I haven't seen it all, but judging from your reaction and the highlights that I have seen, it was well below par, well below anything that we had come to expect from an Erol Bulut team, even this season. Not to say that you have been terrible. There's been good spells in the Burnley game. You may have got thumped, but there was good spells there. Obviously, in the Swansea game, in the second half again, good spells, and it looked like wee things to build on. But to go away to a newly promoted team, and like you said, could have easily have come on second. Derby may be a surprise package this season. Bristol City went there and got thumped as well, but I mean, it's a disappointing performance overall.
Yeah, no, I mean, I don't disregard Derby whatsoever. I think they're a team who've come up and have started incredibly well, but I think the term "good spells" has really summed up Cardiff's performances in a nutshell, going back to the end of last season. I think after we beat Southampton, I mean, even against Southampton when we beat them 2-1 with a pot shot from range from Kean Ashford, like it wasn't a great performance. We had great spells. And then you look at the performances leading up to the end of the last season where we got battered by Rotherham 5-2, and I know it's the final day of the season, but it's a result that you should never succumb to against a club who has been ruled out of Championship and is already destined for League One. It's like I said, and then going to Burnley, going to Turf Moor, one of the toughest grounds to go to, one of the toughest oppositions to come up against. Again, to have good spells but still lose 5-0. Like, we've got to turn these good spells into, I wouldn't say good performances, but valiant ones, if anything. Like, I think we got to turn those 5-0s into 1-1 draws, or if we're gonna lose, then it's by narrow margins, by like 2-1, 3-2, 1-0. It's got to be those, but the results just don't reflect very good on us. They don't reflect great on Erol Bulut as our manager, because Vincent Tan will look at things on paper because he's so detached from the club. And again, boards Ken Chu, Mehmet Dalman, who are part-timers at the club, I don't give a fuck what anyone says, they are part-timers at the club, will look at the same outlet and be like, yeah, not good enough. We've trusted you with a 2-year deal, and this is what we've got in return. You've had a fantastic intake of players in the transfer window, and I do strongly believe that we've got a really good squad, but I just don't think they've been utilised to the best of their abilities. I know how good these players can be.
I don't think we ever thought we would be talking about an Erol Bulut side that looked lacklustre and looked disorganised and was second to balls. I don't think we'd ever be sitting on a podcast saying, I want this team to have a little bit more grit. I want them to dig in a little bit, fight for one another. Those seem to be, characteristics that Erol was installing, and that was going to be a mainstay. If we're going to go down, we're going to go down in a structure. We're going to go down fighting. You're going to have to break us down. We're going to be hard to beat. That hasn't been the case.
No.
strange decisions from players as well, and it sort of again culminated at the end of the Derby game where Jehanic comes sprinting off his line, gets it wrong, obviously goes up for the header.
Yeah, and Siopis leaves it. He could easily pick that up, take it in his stride, bring it forward, and pump a ball into the box again. But he chooses to leave it to Anik. He comes flying off his line, was always going to be second best to Ebou Adams. And Ebou Adams, I salute to you, sir, as a former player at Cardiff, for missing the open goal. Fair play.
I mean, it's missed of the season, isn't it?
It's missed of the season, yeah, he should put that away, and he knows that. And it was all that we deserved as well. Completely all that we deserved. And like I said, I don't know what the situation. I don't know what's going on. Like I said, I don't know if it is the system that the players cannot adapt to. I don't know if it's that the dressing room is turned on Bulut. I'm not talking about the entire dressing room, but maybe a few key players, like I said, Perry and G, who I know was actually good friends with Ryan Wintle, who did have a big fallout with Erol Bulut and was loaned out to Millwall ultimately. But like I said, there's you can't take everything you read on social media as fact. And this is the thing. And Cardiff aren't a very transparent club. They never have been. I don't think many clubs are like that.
No, a lot of things are dealt with in-house at football.
Exactly, yeah, they are. And so you just gotta take things from what you see.
Yeah, of course, for multiple reasons. If someone knows that, if it become public knowledge that Ryan Wintle had a massive falling out and he was no longer part of Erol Bulut's plans, that player that was maybe valued at, I don't know, we'll say like £1 million, Millwall could start lowballing and offering 200 grand.
Yeah.
So all that stuff is kept in house. Some stuff obviously leaks out, but like you said, what you see on Twitter and X or whatever is your social media platform of choice, take it with a pinch of salt.
100%.
But yes, look, the lasting word I think here is the disappointment, and let's hope that come the weekend there's a much improved performance for more than one reason, not just for Cardiff City, but obviously when you're playing in these types of games where you're remembering a player that held such fond memories of, you really want the team to go and do him justice.
So honestly, I mean, I wanted to speak on Sol Bamba last week, and it felt a bit too raw to talk about him because I did get emotional about hearing his passing on last Sunday. I mean, he gave us so many fantastic moments wearing the blue of Cardiff. I mean, the man was a fan favourite on his debut to put us 2-1 up against the Wurzels, Bristol City. I think he sold us by day one. And then to be so pivotal in our promotion campaign when he scores that fantastic half volley on the turn against Brentford away, and then in the Premier League, like the last minute goal against Brighton, the goal against Southampton away, like this man was a leader of men, and he always did it with a smile on his face. He gave 200% week in, week out, and that is what I expect. That's what anyone wants from a footballer representing your club. By all means, like he honest, and and you can just see by the outpour and the response from the footballing world on social media, and then even the likes of Neil Warnock as well. Like people who are high up in the footballing world, whether they were a colleague, a former manager, someone who had them in, had him in the youth. Like everyone was just devastated, and I'm devastated as well. And it's so sad, and it really does go to show that life is so precious. To lose your life that early on in your life is completely unfair, and my heart goes out to his family, my heart goes out to his kids, and my heart goes out to all his close friends to him. But Sol Bamba was, and forever will be, a Bluebird, and I thank you, Sol, for everything. Thank you for being you, Sol.
Yeah, lovely sentiments. Obviously, we echo that. But let's lift the mood slightly. Let's come off of the subject of Cardiff. Hopefully, next week will be far more upbeat.
I hope so. But I do feel like, again, I'm gonna drag the mood down a little bit more. But I look. There's part of me, like, just knowing the Cardiff board, I do feel if Erol Bulut doesn't pick up a good result next week, it may be the last we see of him. That's what I'll leave off with. Yeah.
Let's hope not. But let's go. Quick fire performance of the week.
Performance of the week. There we go. We needed a replacement for Gondor not being here. Oh, got migraine. Ooh. Fuck off. My performance of the week goes to... How can I describe this individual? I loved him on Football Manager. Absolutely adored him. A man who's been on the books at a Premier League club for a long time. He's had some loan spells out in the lower tiers of the English football pyramid, but secured a permanent move away this summer. Somewhere else in Europe. And this individual came up against a team managed by a player once known as Robin van Persie, who now manages Heerenveen. And this man was wearing the colours of AZ Alkmaar. The final result in this game was AZ Alkmaar 9, Heerenveen 1. And this individual scored 4 of them. My performance of the week goes to the one and only Troy Parrott.
Troy Parrott.
4 goals! 4 goals!
Not a name that I thought would be ever reverberating around performance of the
week. Only if we were talking about Football Manager, of course.
Well, I mean, in my Football Manager save, he wouldn't come to me because he was on 300 grand in a Saudi club. So,
fuck off. Was he really?
I think he still is. If I loaded up the save now,
what? He went to Saudi for 300 grand.
Yeah, and then
bloody hell. You know what? I had a goalkeeper that went to Saudi and he was on £1 million a week. Imagine that.
Yeah. It's broken.
If I was on £1 million a week, I'd be dead. Good nomination, fair play. As to keep with the theme of these things, you seem to pick out individual players. I seem to pick out teams. And this is the second time that this team has been involved in performance of the week. However, the roles are reversed because they were on the losing team. It's not Hearts, is it?
My performance of the week goes all the way down to the south coast of England, to Wayne Rooney's Plymouth Argyle.
Fuck off, is it?
That won 3-2 at home park against Sunderland, scoring in the 91st minute, and Sunderland that were unbeaten and going for 5 wins out of 5 in the first time ever in their history.
Yeah, I absolutely knew that. Yeah, that was fantastic from Wayne Rooney's Plymouth side. Yeah, I completely knew about. They won 3-2 against Sunderland, did they?
They won 3-2. Slightly. I mean, the caveat is that they were awful in the first half. Maybe slightly fortunate about how they got back level. Morgan Whittaker's shot was obviously saved onto the bar, and it was bundled into the defender's own net to get him back level. But I thought that they were viable candidates for performance of the week. I did actually take in some English football this weekend. I know that's a controversial topic with us because we're not always 100% accurate on the Premier League, and apparently
we're really not. And just because we forgot about Chelsea being in Europe and the Europa Conference League is now a thing now, and we obviously forgot about that because we're fucking old school football fans, and you fucking 15-year-old virgins want to get on TikTok and call me out for it. Fucking yeah, go on.
But I did take in some English football because apparently that's the only league that matters, right? That's it. There's only one league that matters.
Well, I mean, this is the thing. Like everyone only ever cares about the Premier League because all these fucking 10-year-olds fucking support a Premier League club, even though they're based in Indonesia or fucking Taiwan or wherever.
True.
This is going to be a great episode that's going to put out, to be honest.
100%. I mean, you walk through Belfast and either support Man United or Liverpool.
But I can't reply to their comments because I'm scared they're going to hack my fucking PC,
But I thought that Gabriel for Arsenal was absolutely sensational. Obviously scores the winner.
I did watch that. I did watch that goal. The game, sorry. I did watch the game. The North London derby. Yeah, I did watch that game.
And I thought performance of the week could have even gone to Arteta, to be honest, for the way he set the team up and for especially the growth that we've seen in Arsenal. Plenty of times they would go to places like the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium or White Hart Lane or the Etihad or one of these bigger grounds and capitulate because they play in the same way. But it was more. I felt like it was more like a European performance they put in.
Yeah.
Really,
it feels like
really
Arteta
solid.
went in there with a game plan and he executed it perfectly. Like Tottenham had a lot of possession in that game. They had a lot. It felt like they were forced into a patient build-up game in that 90 minutes.
And that's not
and it's
not tangible at all.
Yeah, exactly. It's completely uncharacteristic from Postecoglou by all means, and Arsenal just caught them on the break every time. And one of the
worst performances of the week, which I guess could be a spin-off segment of this one day,
Cardiff.
What was it wasn't great. Was the referee in that game? I don't know who he was, but he was utter shit. Lost control of the game. There should be a higher threshold for what warrants a yellow card in a derby match, and I think every fan around the world.
But how many yellow cards did he give out in that game? Was it like 7 or 8? He gave up loads in that game.
I think
it was very minuscule challenges. He made like mistimed ones that were like literally fine margin tackles, like fine margin mistimed challenges, and he's throwing out yellow cards. I'm like, well, hang on a minute.
And especially when the Premier League's barked on about raising the threshold and it being more physical and all this.
Fuck?
Yeah, it was disappointed with his performance. He was pretty shit. But yeah, the Arsenal defence, fantastic. And not that I don't really think David Raya had anything to do, to be honest. I don't think, to be honest, that Vicario had.
I don't think, but exactly.
Yeah,
they weren't really tested at all. I think the only error you could pick up from that game was probably Christian Romero from that resulting set piece from the goal, where I feel he loses Gabriel far too easily.
Oh yeah, 100%. He doesn't defend that at all well. Lionel Messi will be disappointed because apparently he's the best centre back in the world. It's let him down. But yeah, that was my intake. I did actually. It was Super Sunday. I did actually.
If he's the best centre back for Argentina, put me up top for Cardiff.
But I did actually watch some of the Newcastle Wolves game as well.
I heard that was quite an eventful game, and I missed it. But I did hear some big headlines about it.
Harvey Barnes with an absolute peach. I didn't realise how well Newcastle had started the season either.
Yeah, really well.
Because
Really, really
yeah,
well.
obviously, Tonali's coming back, and they struggled in the window to get probably the bodies in. Obviously, they were really set on getting Mark Gay, and it didn't happen. And they settled for Lloyd Kelly.
They did, yeah. And by the way, Sandro Tonali could be in further trouble. He bet on Ebba Adams to score against Cardiff.
Michael Chopra giving him that tip.
Who's that coming out, William Hill? It's Michael Chopra. It's Michael Chopra. What a fucking shame, man.
Mm-hmm. But no, yeah, that was performance of the week. I think, fair enough. I think with our independent person to vote, I think Troy Parrott's 4 goals.
We're giving it to Troy Parrott, yeah.
I think so.
I
don't think there's going to be many times this season that we look to the Eredivisie, so we can tick that off.
This is the only one caveat they're going to get, is that Troy Parrott scored 4 goals in an Eredivisie league game.
Watching the Eredivisie like a hawk now, waiting for Robin van Persie to perform a masterclass and get one back there.
Well, I wouldn't be surprised if he's sacked before Erol Bulut if he's conceded 9 goals to AZ Alkmaar. So,
well, let's hope he's not on the shortlist if Bulut does go.
Yeah, you thought a little bit further ahead of me there. I mean, if we're talking about if we're looking hypothetically, if Bulut was to go, who would you feel would be an ideal candidate to take over at Cardiff?
Who do I think they would end up going with? I think.
Who would you like? Who would you like personally? Like someone who I wouldn't say ideally realistic, but at the same time, Who would you like? I mean, if I say ideally realistic but not realistic, it doesn't make sense. But
yeah. As a quick caveat before we get onto this, I think someone that your board would lean towards because they're that fucking incompetent would be someone like Michael Beale. Because
no, that was not the answer I was expecting. No.
I'm just saying, be careful.
Well, there was one name that came to mind with me, and I don't know if you'll agree with it because of did a good job at Luton, didn't have a great spell at Southampton, but is a self-professed Cardiff fan, Nathan Jones.
Yeah, obviously. I didn't realise that he was available, but yeah, I think he's a good shot.
Yeah.
Because of, like you said, the connection to the club and the football that he got Luton playing was obviously successful in the league before Rob Edwards come in. So yeah, I'm trying to think. It's difficult to kind of gauge. Who's kind of available and interested at that level. It might be worth having a little look downwards. Who's doing well in League One? Who could you potentially lift up and carry that kind of positive momentum upwards?
I was trying to think of his name. Stockport manager. I think he'd be good. I can't remember his name. I saw his name pop up earlier, but I know, obviously, he's taken Stockport up to League 2 originally, and then they missed out on playoffs, but then took him up to League 1. I can't remember his name. It will come to me. Dave Chillenor?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think someone would just, whoever comes in, we're talking as if like Erol's gone, but that's just because of the Cardiff boredom and how trigger happy they are. Someone with a philosophy and someone that's going to, sort of come in and understand style. I'm not saying this is a viable candidate by any means, but even someone like Sean Maloney, I know he's at Wigan at the moment, and that's obviously a big job for him, and he has a big connection to the club. But someone like that's going to come in with a clear idea I mean, they're young, but they can put their stamp on the team.
Yeah.
And I think, with
Someone
some of
who's a
the,
bit more in touch with modern day football, ideally.
yeah, and then Erol played a pretty modern style, but I don't know, like
He did, but
something off.
like I said, I don't know if it was the case that he decided to implement the method of like stepping off a bit, played a bit more of a patient build up, or that he lost the dressing room in some areas. I don't know, but I do feel like, I mean, in my opinion, I feel Nathan Jones is the way to go. If we were to get rid of Erol Bulut, I think Nathan Jones is the ideal candidate for us to have at the helm. Someone who has supported the club, as a youth and has followed the club through thick and thin, who's given it the pump fists when he's Luton manager, beating the Jacks. I think that speaks volumes in itself. I think we need someone like that, someone with a bit of character, a bit with, someone who's just a bit more erratic, someone who's more emotional, just a sentimental touch to the club. I think that's what we lack.
Yeah, I think Erol Bulut has character. I think
He does.
he's shown that, and if and it's a big if we're only talking about that, if something was to happen. What I do want to quickly touch on is I don't think we talked about this. We kind of nearly got onto it a few episodes ago, but just to veer off in a completely different direction.
Yeah, no, of course.
Jay Stanfield with a double, a brace for the £11 million man at Birmingham. Obviously beating Wrexham, winning 3-1 on Monday night. £11 million. What? No, was it 12?
Mate, it was more than 12.
Jesus.
Look, from what I've read, and I'm so glad you brought this up because I work with a West Brom fan, and we spoke about the Birmingham Wrexham result last night, where Birmingham beat Wrexham by 3-1, with Jay Stansfield scoring 2. Again, fantastic striker, unbelievable striker, someone that any championship club would dream to have on their books right now. But the fact that Birmingham, who got relegated to League One, and there isn't really a parachute payment package there, is there, going down to League One? The fact that they were allowed to pay, and again, this is only reported fees, like this is what I've read, it was between 15 and 19 million pounds for Jay Stansford.
I think that's. I would imagine that's the whole package deal.
That must be. I don't know. Like I said, look, don't hold me over a barrel of it, but it's.
I think
either way, it's a lot of money for a League One club.
Oh my god!
It's a lot of money. I mean, it's a record by a fucking landslide.
It'll never be broken.
No.
But I think it was like 12 million. 5 million add-ons, something like that.
Okay, look.
So they're reporting.
I'd go on your word more than my own. Yeah, 100%.
I might be wrong, but I think that it's the overall package. But what? How? I don't understand it.
I don't understand it. I don't know if they all of a sudden put Birmingham in the same category as Wrexham, where they're allowed to spend £30 million and. In a league, in a League One transfer window, I don't understand it whatsoever. But I just feel if you put Wrexham, Birmingham next to each other and then compare them with the other 22 sides in that League One, the gap's going to be massive. There's no way that Charlton have spent that money. There's no way that Huddersfield have spent that money. There's no like any other club. No way. I mean, Burton Albion actually had the highest number of intake of players, and they only spent about 2 to 5 million. Nowhere near it.
There's no way. Don't worry about comparing Birmingham and Wrexham to the rest of League One. Right? Compare Birmingham and Wrexham to the rest of the Championship and outwit some of the big boys that come down from the Premiership and some of the that had big player sales.
Yeah,
they would be I would imagine in terms of top spenders, they would be in and around mid-table in that league in terms of the money spent, and to spend 12 million up front and then a total package deal that resembles 15 odd million quid. I mean,
Yeah,
Oxford
Cardiff
United.
spent nowhere near that.
Yeah,
I
look at
know that
Oxford United
as a Cardiff
and
fan, I know we never spent that. Sheffield United,
Derby County,
Derby, Portsmouth, like Norwich, like even I don't even think like Sheffield United, who went up last season, didn't even spend that much. It's ridiculous.
And not quite sure how they've done it and been. I don't know if it's on I don't know if they're being coy with it, and if they purchase him, and then if they get promoted, that saves them from fair play. I don't know. Is it they need to get promoted, otherwise they have to then sell him to make it back? I'm not sure, but it seems a little bit strange that you can spend that amount of money, because how
100%,
on earth?
Yeah.
How on earth can you call that league fair? You've got we hear on podcasts all the time about like Salford and Gary Neville and people like this that Paul Scholes and Nicky Butt that that are pumping money into a football club, and they need to do it sustainably. And then you've got Birmingham doing that, which seems it seems absolutely mad.
Yeah, especially you see now that Man City have been taken to court. Finally, the court cases come live. The 115 odd charges that has been filed against them. I mean, this really does spell out that Birmingham could well be a case that gets brought forward soon. And I mean, I don't know the case with Wrexham. I don't know if they. I wouldn't be keen if they were to be in compliance with the league structure and the rules and regulations. I highly don't think they have been, but like this is it. Like you can't be a side that has been relegated from the Championship to League One and yet spend more than the majority of Championship sides. It doesn't make sense.
I don't. Yeah, and again, I don't know how you factor in, Jude Bellingham's transfer into that, because I don't think I can't remember.
They made nowhere near that much. I think Jude Bellingham went for about 20 million. Joby Bellingham probably went for about between 5 and 10. This is me purely guessing. I don't know any other players that they had in their books that they managed to sell for good. Jordan James maybe, who went to Rennes. They must have got a good financial package from him. So I don't know. If you add those up,
but I don't know how that factors into financial fair play.
I know, because they do it on a yearly basis as well at the same time. So you've got to remember that.
That's what I mean. I don't know if, because they've spent late in August, does that mean that it's a 12-month rolling thing, and if they get promoted, then that will save them? I don't know.
Yeah, it's very vague, like the whole financial fair play and the PFR, whatever it's called, like the profit. Sustainability. I don't know what it's called. Who the fuck cares? Like, I'm not unofficial. Like, I just sit here in front of a microphone and talk shit for fucking half an hour and a half even. But like on paper, it's definitely something that has alarm bells ringing in my mind, and as it does with you, like it's surely a disadvantage to the rest of League One.
Yeah, but I think as we've veered off into all the kind of financial regulations, that's probably a good time to wrap things up. I think we've covered a lot of topics there, from Plymouth and Troy Barrett to absolute sport washing in League One.
Yeah.
We've even been financially. That's fucking all that shit on my mind. We've even been factually correct about some matches that were played in the top division in England.
We have indeed, yeah, and we got them spot on as well. I mean,
Get ready for the comments.
if I decide to upload it on TikTok, then I'll be the fucking judge of that. Let's put it that way. But no, we've had a lot of lows in the sense of Cardiff, but many highs with the boys in green. Glasgow's green and white, who kick off their Champions League campaign tomorrow night. I will most certainly be sitting in front of my computer and watching those full 90 minutes with a full box of wine. That's what I've succumbed to now as a 31-year-old. And but look, Mayhem, thank you for this evening ever so much. I wish you the best of luck against Slovan Bratislava tomorrow, and I hope we come back next week with a more, I guess a more all-round positive episode, if you get my drift. We come back, Celtic have overturned Bratislava, overturned Falkirk with a rotated side. Cardiff City put the performance in that Sol Bamba would have liked us to put in, overcome Leeds United, get our first win of the season, and then the wheels are starting to spin.
100%.
100%. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for tuning in. If you are new to the Football Podcast, we are available on all audio platforms, including Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Check us out on TikTok as well and follow us over there, where we upload clips every week from our recent episodes. And if you're watching us on YouTube, don't forget to like, subscribe to the channel if you're new, ring that bell for notifications. And until next time, ladies and gentlemen, I bid you all good night and the star.